Thank you very much for coming. It's really nice meeting you all. And my name is Massimo Nardone. I represent my own company, Massimo Security Services. And we will spend some 25 minutes talking about cybersecurity in the game industry. So that's pretty much what we are going to do. So I don't want to bother you too much with my company, but after 28 years of corporate work, I decided I had enough, and I decided to open my own company offering IT, OT, IoT, cybersecurity consulting services. But just a couple of minutes about me, just as I said, not to bother. But anyway, so I've been around almost 3 decades. I've been working for large companies like IBM, HP, Cognizant, different roles, so CISO, BISO, cybersecurity architects. So I've been around in OT, SCAD, ICS. So really, then as I said, I decided to found my own company. I'm part of some different security groups, so ISAC, ISF, the Nordic CISO Forum. But most important role related to this topic is that I'm part also of the Android global development team. So I'm an official Android game developer. And I'm also the official Spring Security developer. So I'm part of developing the Spring Security, which is one of the 5 co-author books that I've been writing. So one is on Pro Android games. And so let's say being a Java developer for many, many years. I have 4 international patents in security, just been around. And as you can see, many industries in almost 3 decades and a lot of roles. But that's absolutely enough about me. Let's go to the topic. So today, as I said, around 30 minutes to talk about cybersecurity in the game industry. It's one of the something like 20-something industries where I've been working, but there is really kind of special. So first of all, let's make sure that we understand at the very general level the most important reason and why cybersecurity is so critical and fundamental in the game industry. So, of course, there are a lot of money invested, so there is a huge lot of money invested. So for that, we need to make sure that the game environment is secured. Then I would say the most important thing, the personal data is involved. So when we register for a game, we want to make sure that our data is protected. That is another important reason. And then, of course, intellectual property, so IPs. Sorry. So whenever brand new thing is developed, we want to make sure that the IPs are absolutely protected. But this is not only. So there are different roles. Me, you, as players, we need to be, of course, vigilant. We need to make sure that that we play in a very safe way. But also there are game developing companies. They have to do their own part, making sure that they follow best security practice in cybersecurity, that they invest in security. So making sure that everybody will do his own role and making sure that gaming is always a fascinating, great environment, but it's also secure. So let's go just a couple of these reasons why cybersecurity and game security is absolutely crucial. I already mentioned the IPs. I already mentioned the user data. But there is a lot. There is a lot more, of course. So there is, of course, protection of cheating and exploits. So, of course, we want to make sure that, especially when there is a kind of very competitive game online with a lot of people are playing, we want to make sure that we protect, prevent the cheating, that nobody's, taking advantage over other players. And then the most, I would say, especially on the online games, through the many years, I've been helping companies with cybersecurity in game, and so it's of course one of the most common cybersecurity attack in the game environment is the DDoS, is the distributed denial service, which means just a cybersecurity attack to the servers that needs to provide basically the game online. So to make it very simple, so just going to stop the servers who are supposed to provide the game online. So we will go through the DDoS a little bit more in details. Then securing the in-game transaction. You know better than me that there are real money involved. Sometimes we do spend real money to buy, for instance, game coins or whatever. So there is real money involved in there. So we need to make sure that the transactions are secure, that when we pay with credit card, the credit card information are secured. So we need to make sure that we secure the money transaction. Then, there is one of the securing the game infrastructure. That is basically one of my major role in this industry. So I was lead security architect for IBM, HP, and Cognizant, and that was where I was helping. I've been helping a lot of game developing company, to secure the game infrastructure, to secure, for instance, if the game running in cloud, making sure that the cloud was secured, secure the networking, secure the online, protecting the online. So, of course, it's the core of the entire story, making sure that the infrastructure, the architecture is well secure and well protected. And then training and awareness. In almost 3 decades, I've always been asked, what is the highest and the best security tool. The best security tool is only training and awareness. There's nothing more. There is no other tool or something that we need to make sure that we are aware, that we are vigilant, that we know if there is a lot of scamming, spamming, phishing. We are vigilant. We know that we can recognize some signal that something is happening. So from that perspective, make yourself in a way that you can train yourself and be more and more aware. Right, now, that's a little bit of a couple of words regarding, okay, so basically, based on years of experience and based on the game developing companies I discussed with, so what are the typical, most targeted type of games that suffering of cybersecurity attacks? So where the hackers can see more attractive? Well, of course, the MMOS, so the kind of multiple online games. So, of course, when the hacker sees that there are a lot of thousands of people, hundreds of people playing all together an online game, of course, that's very attractive. Sending a DDoS, try to break everything down so nobody can really play anymore. So MMOS is one of the typical targeted game. Then competitive multiplayer games. So, of course, again, as I said before, cheating, we will see some interesting numbers regarding game cheating in game environment. So let's say competitive game, somebody wants to, there are a lot of videos, for instance, on YouTube, how to cheat on when playing a certain game. So making sure that there is absolutely safe as much as possible. So those kind of games are also targeted. Then mobile games. You will see that mobile games was in 2023 the highest type of game. Of course, we want to use mobile games. We want to take our game with us when we travel, we're on the airplane. So we want to make sure. So there is for sure, but that unfortunately, particularly for the game with the in-app purchase possibility, those are kind of exposed because there is we just download the game on our phone and then we don't know what is the level of security for those mobile games. Online gambling and betting, well, I'm sure you realize that is where most of the money really goes. So the chance of, for instance, sending cybersecurity attack for certain gambling or betting online service is very attractive by the hackers. So they know perhaps they can stop getting more betting for a certain event just in order to perhaps to get a little bit more some advantage. And then, believe it or not, there are still a lot of free-to-play games. There are just games that, still a lot of download on free-to-play games. And as I said, I'm part of the Android Global Developer Forum. It's one of the most discussed topics where people you can just download just a game developer tool, make your own and then make it available somewhere on the, perhaps it's not going to be on any kind of official game portal, or, but still there is a chance to play free to play to games. Then cross-platform games, it's basically, it means that, and I've been working with companies offering those kind of games, it means that there are multiple players with different devices. So there are different OS involved, there are different devices. So trying to unify the security on those kind of games, it's really, really tough, because perhaps different OS will have a different kind of security layers. So how to unify that can be kind of tricky. And then, of course, as I said, I'm a game developer myself. We need the tools, right? We need the tool to start building our game. That we need engines to perhaps, kind of let the games running. So there are, unfortunately, those were also some cases when I was involved, where the bug in going to patch a development tool can be very, very tough, because then eventually you can have a backdoor in that tool, and eventually a hacker can get in, get some information about a brand new, an ongoing, upcoming game, or an important gaming is. So let's say that there is also incredibly something that has happened. And then, wow, legacy games. There are still games, believe it or not, running on old servers, unpatched servers, absolutely not secure servers, but there are still legacy games running everywhere. So that's the kind of giving you a little bit of a flavor about about the type of games targeted. But think about the pandemic time, and wow, there was, of course, a tremendous increase of gaming. And if you think about only in 2023, where something like over 3 billion of people spending almost $200 billion on gaming, based on the Newzoo Global Games report. So a lot of stuff, and as you can see, mainly, of course, almost $100 billion are on mobile games, but still there are some console games, there are online games, there are downloadable games. But this gives you a perspective that, as I said, especially, of course, during the pandemic time, there were just a tremendous increase in terms of the market of games. But surprise, surprise, increasing the market means increasing the cybersecurity attacks. That's absolutely the rule. So there were an increase of 167% based on the Akamai report, that there were a lot of attacks between 22 and 2023. This is just some example of the geographic of the cybersecurity attacks during the 2023. So let's say that, as usual, there are of course a lot of increase in terms of playing, but it means that there are also a lot of new cybersecurity attack. All right, let's spend a couple of minutes, no more than that. So let's give her at least a little bit of understanding for especially people not involved in gaming. So what are the threats? What are the typical type of threats in the gaming industry? Well, first of all, I would say the winner is for sure the DDoS, because the majority of game are still running on the web. So basically, because of that, the DDoS, at least the DDoS type of attack, they are absolutely number one. There are, of course, there is an history on malware. You can see here, there was just put a little bit of historical info that some like Grand Theft or people in games, so Minecraft, Fortnite, Call of Duty, they were the first kind of games where they bring the first time of phishing links with malware. They are absolutely historical. But then there are more than malware. Then there are, first of all, data breach. There is, unfortunately, pretty much, of course, the worst scenario. Your data is compromised. There is a ransomware or data breach on the database of your data. Data is perhaps blocked or lost. So data breach on your database of the game can be something really bad. Then we already said the cheating and exploits. So there is also very common threats. And well, believe it or not, phishing and social engineering. It's always there. So there's nothing. Unfortunately, we live in a very busy moment. So sometimes we are not very vigilant or accurate on the kind of email that we've been received, and perhaps clicking on a new URL, and that's unfortunately get going with along with the phishing email, and unfortunately compromise the game environment. And then there is a lot of account takeovers. You can imagine if I can take over your account, then I can start doing purchasing, using as for instance happened with the Sony, when Sony lost some of the accounts. Then unfortunately this is pretty much what happened. They had the chance to use someone else's account to place purchasing and so on. Then insider threats, that's typical cybersecurity thing that is always in the list. So basically it's very attractive for somebody working perhaps in a game company, approached by some competitor or something, where basically there is a lot of insider threats where people sell information about upcoming games to some competitor, stuff like that. There is a lot of money laundering and fraud. So fraud is still very much there. So because there is, of course, it's very appealing. Try to kind of trying to work on and cause some currency fraud. And then the attacks also involve the entire supply chain. It's not only the company providing. So that's also. And then, well, not in the right order, but identity theft. So unfortunately, there is also some cases where I was some scenario when I was involved myself. So there was a bug, so there was something, and for a certain the game company, and the identity was actually stolen. So then start to use the identity of someone else doing something. And yeah, based on Kaspersky, that was just a picture, especially during the pandemic time. Of course, children, also children in game were a lot, increased, and that was kind of showing that, for instance, Minecraft suffered of a lot of cybersecurity attack, for instance, during the pandemic time. All right, I don't want to bother too much with a lot of details, but let's make this. Don't look at the slide. Look at me. So it's otherwise you got completely scared by that. But let's make it easy. I mean, it's either a small game developer company or a very large. The standard is the same. You need to understand the standard. You need to adopt a framework, and you need to understand the regulations, legislations, directives that that actually for the kind of game. So of course, standard is just a set of best practice and basically a lot of specification telling you how to help to build the security in the IT environment where your game is developed. Think about ISO, think about NIST, think about the PCI, because if you want to start building game and providing the payment with the PCI, so those are standards. They will tell you step by step, how to configure certain things. But then you need to understand the regulations. If your game will deal with the personal data, then of course you are exposed. You need to treat the personal data in a certain way. If your game deal with payment data, then you are dealing with the credit card information. And then there are, of course, regulations. There are directives that needs to be absolutely fulfilled. There are fines, of course. If you lose personal data, you're breaking GDPR regulation, you will pay up to 2% of your annual revenue because of that. Now, of course, with NIS2, it's the same story. You are exposing the personal and credit card information. So I'm trying to understand the right regulations. And then, of course, adopt a framework. Pick the one that's more comfortable and pick the one that is more suitable to your game environment. So is it NIST? Is it COVID? Is it part of the OWASP? Is it your game is running up to cloud? So you need the Cloud Security Alliance, CSA. So you need to make sure that you adopt the right framework, which contains all the processes, the procedures, the guidelines, the best practice. So this is absolutely core in order to deal with all the cybersecurity within game industry. Now again, you want to build of course you want to build a game, then you need to take care of the entire architecture. You need to take care of the servers, so the servers running the game. You need to take care, of course, the security of your cloud environment, where the game is running, where the servers are located. You need to take care of the security of the portal. You need to take care, of course, the data, the database, where the database are located. So you need to take care about all this. But in order to do that, then, of course, you need to adopt some kind of IT architecture reference model, right? Pick one. It could be an open security architecture, so it's absolutely for free, where you can get all the information about the service partners, the application partners, the infrastructure partners, so all the services related to authentication, authorization. So pick one, but for sure you need to understand the business, of course, around the game. So who, what, how, where, is the game acting, and all the security layers. Most importantly, you have data. So you have to understand the data security. Do I need to encrypt the data? Do I need to keep logs of the data? Then the data is, operated by an application. So I need to understand the application security layer. But then the application is used by an endpoint. So then I need to adopt the endpoint security layer up to the network and up to the perimeter security. So there is absolutely what is needed to be there in order for you to secure and protect your game environment. Now, best practice coming from standards, coming from different frameworks that I've shown you. So there are a lot of things. I will not go because of time in all this, but there are best practice. Whatever you need to do, you need to encrypt your data. Go and check best practice on the encryption. You need to do code obfuscation. You do and check how you do that. There is something on. You need perhaps you want to build a testing environment. So best practice on testing environment. So there are a lot of best practices that could that you should follow when building games. The last couple of minutes, let me remind you that there is no way, whatever the industry, when you build the software, you can actually, intentionally or unintentionally bring vulnerabilities, bring errors, bring bugs to your software. You need to adopt the so-called SSDLC, so Secure Software Development Lifecycle, making sure that during the process, you know how to collect requirements of your game. You know what it needs to design your game. You know what are the right tools to implement the game. You know how to verify, test your game. You know when the time you release a new version of the game, what does it mean? You are prepared. Once you have the incident response plan for your environment, you are prepared with the response. If something happens, you know how to react. And that's pretty much what I kind of as a summary for today. So, as I said, making sure that you understand all the key elements of the architecture of your game, making sure that you adopt the more suitable framework for you. Try to go for and understand the regulations involved with the data of your game, making sure that you follow cybersecurity best practice in the game industry. Try to have an SSDLC life cycle for your software. And most importantly, which is something that I've been working many years. So making sure that you scan your environment, go for penetration testing, run periodically penetration testing, check what kind of vulnerabilities your environment has, and then build a great remediation plan based on that. And that was pretty much all I have to tell you today. Thank you very much for your time.